The royal ship, Valira's Grace, drifted through the star clouds like a living jewel. Its silver hull glowed softly against the dark void, carrying the daughter of the Valiran Empire toward her new home. Princess Arya stood near the viewing glass, staring at the endless stars. Her eyes were calm, but her thoughts were heavy. She was being sent to marry a man she had never met. A human. The Valirans called humans simple, fragile, primitive. A species that rose too fast and understood too little. The alliance demanded a marriage to keep peace, and Arya agreed because her people needed stability. Still, she wondered what kind of man she was walking into life with. A farmer? A worker? A soft creature of earth who bowed every time someone raised their voice? She expected nothing from him, and expected him to expect nothing from her. The ship hummed quietly. The crew moved around her with nervous discipline. Whenever humans were mentioned, whispers followed. Some feared them, some mocked them, but no one understood them. Arya turned from the window as the captain approached. "Your Highness, we are entering human territory," he said. "Their patrols will meet us soon." She nodded. "Send my greeting. Let this be peaceful." But deep inside, something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. Moments later, the ship trembled. The lights flickered. A warning tone echoed through the halls. "Unidentified vessels approaching," the helmsman shouted. Multiple signatures, arming weapons. The captain's eyes widened. Not humans. Pirates. Arya's heart tightened. The Valiran Empire ruled dozens of systems. Pirates rarely attacked royal ships. But someone out there was bold enough. Or desperate. The ship shook harder as energy blasts struck its shields. Crew members stumbled. Sparks burst from a control panel. The soft, peaceful glow of the ship turned into flashing red alarms. Brace for impact. A violent strike tore through the lower decks. The shields dropped to 30%. The pirate vessels circled like hungry predators, firing again and again. Arya grabbed the railing, forcing her breath to stay steady. "Can we outrun them?" "Not with our current speed," the captain answered. "We need help." Sending distress signal to the human outpost. Another hit. The floor shook so violently she nearly fell. The princess had survived palace politics, court betrayals, and diplomatic wars. But this felt personal. The pirates wanted her. They wanted the value of a royal hostage. The ship's AI voice announced, "Hull breach in Sector 7. Evacuate immediately." Arya stared at the screen showing the pirate ships. Sharp, fast, merciless. "Your Highness," the captain said, voice trembling now. "If they board us, they will take you." She already knew. She also knew humans were far away, and humans were slow. But then the sensors beeped. A single ship appeared on the display. Small, old, human-made. It approached fast, almost recklessly. "What is that?" Arya asked. The helmsman frowned. "Identification. Human craft. Designation, Frontier Hawk. Only one pilot. Only one." The small ship flew directly toward the pirate fleet instead of retreating. It moved like a knife through water, cutting between blasts, firing with perfect aim. Arya watched in shock. Whoever was inside that little ship was either unbelievably brave or unbelievably foolish. The princess whispered, "Who is that human?" No one could answer. But in that moment, she felt it. The tide of the battle was shifting. Because of one man she had never met. The man she was meant to marry. The man everyone believed was simple. And he had just drawn his first line in the stars. The pirate ships tried to regroup as the tiny human craft sliced through their formation. No one understood how a single pilot could move with such speed. The princess leaned forward, eyes fixed on the display. Every second, the small human ship dodged attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. "Is that normal for humans?" Arya asked. The captain shook his head. "No, Your Highness. Humans are skilled, but this is different. This is dangerous skill. Dangerous and deliberate." The human ship spiraled upward, then dropped sharply. A burst of light struck one pirate engine, sending the hostile ship spinning into the void. Another blast hit a second vessel dead center. The pilot didn't hesitate, didn't slow, didn't miss. Arya felt something strange, a rising tension in her chest. "Awe or fear?" "Patch him through," she said quietly. The comm officer tried. "He's blocking all channels. It's like he doesn't want us to hear him." Arya frowned. Why would he fight in silence? Why not announce himself? Claim credit? Send a warning? Humans were unpredictable, but this felt intentional. The pirates began to panic. Their formation broke. They scattered, firing wildly. But the small ship stayed calm, almost elegant, weaving between attacks and answering with precise counterfire. One pirate captain shouted over intercepted comms, "Who is that? What kind of human pilot is this?" No answer came. As Arya watched, the human craft accelerated so hard that even the Valyrian sensors struggled to track it. It shot behind a pirate cruiser, glided along its hull, and placed a focused blast at the exact point where the armor was weakest. The cruiser erupted in flames. Silence filled the bridge of Valyra's grace. The princess spoke softly. "He's not fighting like someone defending strangers. He's fighting like someone protecting something important." The captain hesitated. "Perhaps he knows who you are." Arya doubted that. Most humans knew little about her empire's politics. But something in the pilot's movements, something in his refusal to retreat. He was not ordinary. Another alarm echoed. Multiple pirate boarding pods detected, someone yelled. "They're trying to attach." The damaged lower decks shook again. The human ship couldn't stop every pod. The pirates were desperate now. They wanted a hostage before they fled. Arya clenched her fists. "Seal the inner doors." "Yes, Your Highness." But then the human craft did something reckless. It turned around completely and rocketed toward the incoming boarding pods, racing straight into enemy fire. "What is he doing?" Arya whispered. The pilot fired a single, overcharged burst. The shot hit the magnet locks on the closest boarding pod. It tore free and crashed into another pod, detonating both in a cloud of metal and flame. That shot, the helmsman breathed. That shot required perfect timing, perfect angle. One mistake, and he would have missed everything. He didn't miss. For the first time, Arya felt her heartbeat change. Fear turning into curiosity. Curiosity turning into something worse, expectation. Was this truly the man she was supposed to marry? If so, she understood why no one had told her details. Because no simple man flew like this. The human craft made a final pass. 2 more pirate ships exploded. The remaining attackers fled into the dark, vanishing without a trace. The battle ended in seconds. But Arya still couldn't breathe. The human pilot slowed, positioning his ship beside Valyra's grace like a guardian standing watch. He sent no message. No introduction. Only silent protection. The comm officer reported. "He's finally transmitting a landing request." Arya's voice was barely a whisper. "Bring him aboard." Everyone on the bridge turned toward her. A princess inviting a stranger, an unknown human warrior, onto a royal ship? But Arya felt something powerful, something she could not ignore. Whoever was inside that small craft was about to change everything. The hangar of Valyra's grace buzzed with nervous energy. Valyrian soldiers stood in formation, their pale armor shining under the bright lights. Mechanics whispered to each other. Even the ship's AI lowered its voice alerts, as if sensing that something unusual was about to happen. Everyone waited for the human pilot. Everyone wondered what kind of man could fight like that. Princess Arya stood on the upper platform, watching the small human craft descend. Its hull was scratched, old, not impressive at all. If someone looked only at the ship, they would think the pilot inside was ordinary. Forgettable. Unskilled. But the way he flew had already told a different story. The landing ramp hissed open. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then a human man stepped out. He wore a simple flight suit. No armor. No royal symbol. No expensive equipment. His posture was relaxed, almost casual, as if he had just finished a routine flight instead of a life-or-death battle. His eyes scanned the hangar slowly. Calm. Sharp. Not afraid of anything. A murmur moved through the Valyrian soldiers. That cannot be him. He looks too normal. Is this really the one who destroyed a pirate fleet? Arya felt the same confusion tighten in her chest. She had imagined a warrior with scars, heavy weapons, or glowing implants. But this man, this human, looked like someone who worked on a farm or repaired machines in a quiet town. Yet something about him felt heavier than the room itself. The captain stepped forward. "State your name, human." The man gave a polite nod. "Name's Elias." His voice was calm, simple, but it echoed with quiet strength. "I received your distress call. Thought you could use a hand." Arya watched the soldiers exchange uneasy glances. The way he said it, like he had fixed a small problem, not fought off an entire pirate fleet, felt almost unreal. "You saved us," the captain said. We owe you our thanks. Elias shrugged lightly. Did what anyone would do. Arya almost laughed under her breath. Anyone? No one else in the system could have done what he did. She stepped down from the platform, her royal cloak brushing the metal floor. The hanger fell silent as she approached him. Elias didn't bow. He didn't panic. He simply watched her with steady eyes, as if he was studying a star and trying to understand its light. You risked your life for us, Arya said. Why? He answered without hesitation. Because people were in danger. Simple words, but spoken with weight. Arya realized something then. He wasn't humble. He wasn't trying to impress her. He simply believed what he said. He acted because it was right, not because he wanted recognition. Are you aware of who I am? She asked softly. Yes, Elias said. Princess Arya of the Valyrian Empire. Future peacebinder between humans and Valyrans. So he knew about the marriage. He knew she was the political key to an alliance. But he had still come alone. Still fought without fear. Arya looked into his eyes and saw something unsettling. Not arrogance. Not aggression. Power held tightly under control. Like a blade hidden inside a cloth. Before she could speak again, the ship's alert system chimed. Your Highness, the AI reported. We have recovered the pirate data logs. They were not acting alone. Everyone tensed. Arya turned toward the captain. Meaning? The attack was planned, he said. Someone paid them to capture you. A chill swept through the hangar. Arya's gaze moved back to Elias. She expected surprise, maybe alarm. But he didn't react. He simply took a slow breath, eyes narrowing slightly, as if he had expected this from the beginning. Looks like your journey just got more dangerous, he said quietly. Arya felt her heartbeat quicken. How did he say it so calmly? Why did he sound like someone who had faced worse? And why, despite her fear, did she feel strangely safer with him standing in the hangar? Elias wasn't here by accident. That much she now understood. But the real question was the one she could not ask aloud. What else was this human hiding? The princess returned to the command deck with Elias walking a few steps behind her. No guards blocked him. No soldier dared challenge him. Everyone had seen what he did in space. Even if he looked simple, even if he spoke plainly, his presence carried a quiet warning. Do not underestimate a human. Arya tried to keep her mind focused on the new threat, but her thoughts kept drifting toward Elias. She had met many warriors in her life, royal guards, elite Valyrian champions, Empire-trained soldiers, but none of them carried this strange mix of calm and danger. Elias walked with easy steps, hands relaxed at his sides, but every movement felt like it was chosen carefully, purposefully, as if he was always aware of the room, the exits, the shadows. He didn't look like a prince. He didn't look like a hero. He looked normal, and yet Arya could not shake the feeling that she was walking beside a storm waiting to break. When they reached the deck, the captain activated the pirate data logs. A hologram flickered to life, showing encrypted messages and coded orders. Arya crossed her arms. Play the last transmission. The hologram shifted. A masked figure appeared, voice distorted. Capture the princess at any cost. Destroy any escort. Deliver her alive. Arya felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Someone powerful wanted her in chains. Someone willing to hire a pirate fleet for it. Can you trace the source? She asked. Not fully, the captain replied. But we know this much. The order did not come from human territory. Elias spoke for the first time since entering the deck. Someone inside your own empire? The room froze. No one expected a human to say it out loud. No one expected him to understand the political tension wrapped around Arya's upcoming marriage. Arya turned toward him slowly. You believe my own people want to kidnap me? Elias didn't flinch. People in power fear change. Your marriage changes everything. A new alliance. A shared future. Some won't want that. His words were simple, but they cut deep. The captain cleared his throat. Human, this is an internal matter. You should not involve. But Arya raised her hand. No, let him speak. The captain fell silent. Elias looked at Arya with steady eyes. I've seen this before. When people want peace, others want conflict. When leaders reach for unity, someone else reaches for a weapon. Arya stared at him. How do you know this, Elias? Have you dealt with political threats before? A long pause followed. Elias's expression didn't change, but the air around him seemed to tighten. I've dealt with many things, he said softly. More than I talk about. It was not a boast. It was not pride. It was a quiet truth. the kind spoken by someone who carried memories heavier than armor. Before Arya could question him further, the ship shook again, this time not from attack, but from a deep system malfunction. The lights dimmed. Warning symbols appeared on every screen. Power surge in the navigation core, the helmsman shouted. Something is overriding our controls. The captain's face drained of color. This is sabotage. Someone planted something inside our systems. Arya's eyes widened. How long has it been here? Likely before departure, the officer replied. Someone wanted the ship to fail after the pirate attack. Elias stepped closer to the panel without waiting for permission. Shut down the auto-routing. Switch to manual override. The crew looked at him in shock. How do you know our systems? The helmsman asked. Elias didn't answer. His fingers moved across the console with practiced precision, typing a sequence only engineers or elite pilots would know. Arya stared at him. Elias, who taught you this? He ignored the question. The ship's alarms intensified. The navigation core sparked violently, threatening to overload. If it detonated, half the vessel would be lost. The crew panicked. The captain shouted orders. The AI repeated warnings. Elias did not panic. He reached behind the console, ripped open a small maintenance plate, and exposed an illegal device attached to the wiring, small, sharp, alien-made. Here's your sabotage, he said. Arya stepped forward, stunned. You found that in seconds. I've seen this kind of trap before, Elias replied quietly. Too many times. He pulled a small tool from his suit. Arya wasn't even sure where he had been hiding it, and deactivated the device with 2 steady clicks. The alarm stopped. The lights stabilized. The ship breathed again. Everyone stared at him. Not as a human, not as a simple man, but as someone who knew how to fight enemies seen and unseen. Arya's voice came out soft. Elias, what kind of life did you live before today? His eyes held a shadow she had not seen before. One that taught me never to trust silence, he said. Because danger loves to hide in quiet places. For the first time, Arya wondered if she feared the people hunting her, or feared learning the truth about the man who just saved her life twice. The ship drifted through quiet space now, safe for the moment, but the atmosphere inside Valira's Grace felt heavier than before. The crew whispered about the sabotage. Some whispered about the pirates. But most whispered about the human who had walked onto their ship and solved both problems without fear. Elias stayed near the center console, arms crossed as he studied the navigation readouts. His presence pulled attention like gravity. Arya kept watching him from the command seat, unable to stop her thoughts from circling him like a restless moon. He had fought like a warrior, saved them like a guardian. And now, he worked like someone who knew more than he ever admitted. Arya finally approached him. We need answers, Elias, she said softly. Who placed that device on our ship? And how did you recognize it so quickly? He didn't look up. Someone who wants you gone. Someone trained. Someone with access to Valyran technology. Her breath caught. Meaning someone inside my empire. Or someone inside your circle, Elias added quietly. Someone close enough to walk past guards and hide explosives. Arya felt her stomach twist. She had enemies, yes. Political rivals. Bitter nobles. But none she thought capable of this. Whoever it is, Elias continued. They're not finished. The captain stepped forward, uneasy. Human, your words sound certain. Why? What do you know? Elias finally lifted his gaze. His eyes no longer looked soft or calm. A cold sharpness hid behind them, like someone remembering fire and loss. I've seen enemies like this, he said. They don't try once. They keep coming until their target breaks. A chill rippled through the room. Arya swallowed. Elias, why does this feel like you're speaking from experience? He said nothing. He didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than any answer. The ship hummed as the engines adjusted course. Arya tried to steady herself, but something new awakened inside her. A sense of safety she had not felt in years. Not because the ship was secured. Not because her guards were trained. Because Elias was here. But she needed more than silent protection. She needed truth. Walk with me, she said, turning toward the corridor. Elias hesitated, then followed. The hallway was dim and quiet. Only the soft blue floor lights glowed under their feet. Far from the crew, far from listening ears, Arya finally let her calm mask fall. She stopped and faced him. Elias, who are you really? His jaw tightened slightly. It was the first sign of discomfort she had seen from him. I'm a pilot, he said. No, she replied firmly. A pilot does not destroy a pirate fleet alone. A pilot does not disable alien sabotage in seconds. A pilot does not speak like someone who has faced political assassins before. Elias looked away for the first time since she met him. Arya stepped closer. Were you a soldier? A silence. Heavy. Telling. Not anymore, he answered. Then what were you? Elias took a slow breath. Someone who protected people. Someone who lost too many of them. Arya felt the weight of the words. Not anger. Not sorrow. Something deeper. You think I need protection now, she said gently. I know you do. Why you, she asked. Why come alone? Why risk everything for a princess you don't know? Elias's voice lowered. Because your alliance with humanity matters. Because if you fall, everything breaks. And because... He stopped himself. Arya tilted her head. Because what? Elias finally met her eyes again. His voice turned almost too soft to hear. Because I promised someone I would never let a good person die if I could stop it. The hallway felt smaller. Warmer. More dangerous. Arya's voice trembled. Who did you make that promise to? Elias answered like a man reopening a wound. My brother. Arya fell silent. Something fragile passed between them. Respect, grief, and an unspoken connection that neither could put into words yet. Before she could speak again, the alarm lights turned red. A new alert echoed across the ship. Incoming vessel. No identification. Approaching fast. Arya turned toward the bridge. Elias didn't wait. He sprinted ahead, faster than any human she'd seen, moving with the kind of precision only soldiers possessed. But Arya stayed frozen for a moment. Not because of the threat, but because now she finally understood. Elias was not protecting her because duty demanded it. He was protecting her because he knew what it felt like to lose someone he cared about. And he refused to let it happen again. The command deck erupted with alarms as Arya and Elias rushed inside. Red lights pulsed across the ceiling. Crew members scrambled to stations. The captain shouted commands, but no one could hide the fear tightening their voices. Unidentified vessel closing fast, the helmsman reported. It's ignoring our warnings. Arya stared at the screen. The incoming ship was small, dark, shaped like a blade. No Empire symbol. No pirate markings. Built for one purpose. Hunting a single target with precision. Her. Elias walked forward until he stood directly in front of the display. His jaw tensed. His shoulders stiffened. Not with fear, but recognition. You know that ship, Arya said quietly. Elias didn't look at her. Yes. The captain turned toward him sharply. Then speak, human. Who does it belong to? What enemy is this? Elias breathed slowly, as if choosing every word. They are called the Shade Unit. The room froze. Arya felt her chest tighten. Shade Unit? You mean the assassins your people whisper about? The ones no one has ever seen. They're not human, Elias said. They work outside borders. Outside law. They don't belong to any empire. They don't take prisoners. And when they're hired, his voice dropped. They never fail. A nervous officer muttered. Why would someone send a shade after us? After you, princess? Arya felt the truth hit her before anyone said it. Because the pirates failed. Because the sabotage failed. Because someone wanted to finish the job with a weapon no one could stop. The Shade ship ignited its engines and shot forward like a spear of darkness. Impact in 20 seconds, the helmsman warned. Arya gripped the console. Raise shields. Prepare evasive. No, Elias said firmly. Your shields won't hold. Their tech is built to slice through standard defense fields. The crew stared at him. How do you know so much? The captain demanded. Elias finally turned around. His eyes carried the weight of old storms. Because years ago, he said, the Shade Unit came from my brother. Silence crashed over the deck. Arya felt her breath catch. Your brother, the one you made the promise to? Elias nodded once. We were both defenders. Both pilots. Both trained to protect our people. But the Shade came at night. Silent. Precise. They destroyed his ship before he could even launch. He paused, jaw tightening. I got there too late. Arya's heart ached at the quiet pain in his voice. So I studied them, Elias continued. Their weapons. Their tactics. Their weaknesses, if they have any. The screen flashed. The Shade ship released a single glowing projectile. Sharp, thin, like a needle made of burning light. Brace, the captain shouted. The projectile hit the shields. The entire ship shuddered violently. The lights flickered. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Warning symbols flooded the screens. Shields down to 40%, an officer yelled. One more hit, and they'll break. Arya grabbed the side rail. We need to escape. We can't, the helmsman said. They're matching our every move. They're predicting us. Elias stepped forward again. Then stopped running. Everyone stared at him. Arya shook her head. Elias, we cannot fight a shade ship. Even my empire avoids them. You can't fight them, Elias said. I can. Arya's eyes widened. What are you saying? He pointed toward the hangar. I'm taking Frontier Hawk. It's the only craft fast enough to counter them. The captain slammed his hand on the console. Impossible. They'll destroy you the moment you launch. Elias looked at Arya, not the captain. My brother died because I wasn't fast enough, he said softly. But you? I refuse to fail you. Arya felt heat rise in her chest. Fear, anger, something deeper she didn't want to name. You're not doing this alone, she whispered. But Elias shook his head. You need to stay here. You're the reason your people and mine might finally unite. If the shade captures you, everything breaks. Arya stepped closer until she stood only a breath away from him. And what if I lose you? For the first time, Elias's calm cracked. His eyes softened. His voice trembled by a hair. You won't, he said. I made a promise. Another alarm blared. The shade ship prepared a second shot. Arya grabbed his wrist. Elias. He gently pulled free. I'll end this, he said. For you. For my brother. For the future we're both walking toward. He turned and ran toward the hangar, every step filled with purpose. Arya watched him go with a mix of terror and unspoken hope. The crew looked at her for orders, but she couldn't speak. Because she knew the truth now. Elias wasn't just her protector. He wasn't just a human pilot. He was a storm that refused to die, and he was about to face the shadow that once tore his world apart. The hangar doors opened like a metal jaw, and Elias launched the Frontier Hawk into the void. The small craft shot forward with a violent burst of speed, engines glowing white-hot as they pushed past safe limits. Inside the command deck of Valira's Grace, everyone stared at the screen, pale, silent, hoping for a miracle. Arya stood at the front of the deck, hands trembling though she held them tightly behind her back. Her heart struck hard against her ribs. She didn't want to show fear, but every second Elias spent out there alone pushed her closer to breaking. The shade ship rotated slowly, adjusting position like a predator acknowledging arrival. It sent a coded pulse of dark energy through space. Almost a greeting, almost a threat. Elias understood it. He had seen it before. It's you again, he whispered. Or one of your kind. Doesn't matter. You took one life. You won't take another. Frontier Hawk surged forward. The shade responded instantly, slicing sideways in a way that ignored physics. The two ships clashed in a dance too fast for most sensors to track. Lights streaked across the stars. Blasts cut the darkness. The shade moved like a shadow slipping between worlds. But Elias moved like a man fighting for something he refused to lose. Inside the command deck, the crew whispered, "He's keeping up with it. No human should fly like that. Is this even possible?" Arya didn't whisper. She didn't blink. She only watched. Elias fired a focused burst, missed. Turned, fired again, missed. The shade twisted around him like a ghost, firing razor-thin beams that grazed the Hawk's hull, carving silver lines along the surface. "Elias," Arya whispered, even though he couldn't hear her. The shade ship suddenly vanished. No engine trail, no sensor reading. Just gone. A crew member panicked. "We lost the target." Arya felt her heart stop. But Elias didn't panic. He closed his eyes, counted under his breath. 3, 2, 1. He pulled back hard on the controls. The shade ship decloaked at the exact spot he predicted, firing a killing shot that missed Elias by inches. "Found you," Elias growled. He looped behind the shade with a violent twist that strained the Hawk's frame. Metal groaned. Warning lights flashed. But Elias ignored all of it. He fired again, and this time hit something important. A small explosion burst across the shade ship's flank. Inside the command deck, cheers erupted. But Arya stayed tense. The shade ship slowed, but didn't retreat. If anything, the hit made it furious. Its hull shifted, panels opening like sharp wings. A new weapon charged, one Elias had never seen, one not in any shade file. "Princess," an officer whispered. "That blast could destroy both ships." Arya gripped the railing. "No." Elias will find a way. Because humans always found a way. The Shade ship fired. A sphere of crushing dark energy shot across the void. Elias didn't dodge. He couldn't. There was no time. Instead, he flew straight into the attack. Gasps filled the deck. What is he doing? He'll die. This is madness. Arya felt her body go numb. But Elias wasn't falling into death. He was using it. The Hawk's nose dipped at the last second, sliding under the energy sphere, letting the blast skim the shields instead of tearing through the cockpit. The Hawk shuddered, alarms screamed, but the ship survived. Barely. The Shade ship had exposed its core for a fraction of a second during the attack. Just one moment. Just long enough for someone brave, or foolish, to strike. Elias was both. He fired everything the Hawk had. All weapons. All energy. One final shot. The blast hit the Shade's core. A brilliant white crack flashed across its hull. Then the ship imploded silently, drawn inward until nothing remained but drifting ash. The command deck exploded into cheers, full, loud, unstoppable relief. But Arya didn't cheer. She stared at the small blinking dot that represented Elias. It flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. Only then did her knees weaken. Bring him home, she whispered. Minutes later, the Hawk returned, limping into the hangar like a wounded hawk that had survived the storm. The moment Elias stepped out, Arya rushed toward him, her royal composure gone. You, her voice broke. You could have died. Elias smiled tiredly. But I didn't. She moved closer, speaking in a voice only he could hear. You don't need to risk yourself for me. I don't want your life to be a price for peace. Elias shook his head. I didn't fight for peace. Arya stared at him. Then why? He took a slow breath. I fought because you believed in me, he said. Because you looked at me like I wasn't simple. Like I wasn't broken. Like I still had something worth giving. Arya felt her heart twist. She wanted to answer. To tell him everything that had changed inside her since he appeared. But her voice failed. Elias stepped back slightly and bowed his head, not because she was a princess, but because he respected her. Whatever happens next, he said, you won't face it alone. Arya exhaled shakily. For the first time in her life, she believed that promise. Because humans, when pushed into darkness, did not shatter. They shone brighter than any star.